After 45 days in office, UK Prime Minister Liz Truss has resigned. It's the shortest tenure in the country's history. President Biden today reacted to Truss's resignation, saying he was not worried that the UK's economic spillover would affect the United States.
Look, she was a good partner on Russia and Ukraine, and the British are going to solve their problems, but she was a good partner.
It's said that Truss's economic stimulus plan caused economic and political chaos, and that in response, most of the policies on her platform were reversed, and she lost her support in the Conservative Party. A report over voter intimidation in Arizona. The Arizona Secretary of State's office found it serious enough to pass on to the Department of Justice and the Arizona Attorney General's office. The unidentified voters said that they were approached and followed by a group of people while trying to drop off their ballot at an early voting drop box on Monday. It happened at the Juvenile Justice Court drop box in Mesa, which is in Maricopa County. Maricopa County reported last week that people had been recording voters dropping off their ballots at the Mesa drop box. This new complaint is an escalation from those initial reports. And Democrats are trying to hold on to their 50 Senate seat majority this midterm election cycle. And Arizona is a battleground that could determine whether they'll be successful. How is Biden's presidency impacting the Democratic Party? And how will Trump's endorsement fare? NTD's Melina Wisecup is in Arizona, speaking with voters on what is driving them to the polls this year.
Arizona is living up to its name as a swing state, especially here in Maricopa County. This county has the largest population and the strongest voter turnout. We spoke to a number of voters here, and really, you never know what you're going to get. Bottom line is these races are looking tight.
I just think they're more in tune with what our country needs and has a better direction for where we need to go.
I'm going to say that I'm voting Democrat across the board, and I'm comfortable saying that.
First-term Senator Mark Kelly is defending his Senate seat against Republican Blake Masters in a race that could determine control of the Senate.
You know, Kelly I don't think he had a great debate. He sort of attacked Blake Masters, but he never really talked about what he wanted to do once he got into office. And so that was something I saw, and I was like, that's kind of a problem because, you know, people are going to see that and say, hey, Masters is a very strong debater and a very strong arguer. Masters has had a very strong campaign so far.
He's always had really strong fundraising, and he's got really good name recognition here in the state.
Nearly every Democrat we spoke to says the number one issue they're concerned about is abortion access. Codifying Roe would be the first priority if Democrats keep control in Congress. That's according to President Biden's latest comments on the issue this week. So how is the president's time in the White House resonating with Democrat-leaning and independent voters?
I see a lot of negatives and positives to him. It very fluctuates throughout his presidency.
On the same token, how will Trump's endorsement fare in this purple state?
It's not helping to have it wouldn't help a candidate to have Biden come root for you if you're a Democrat candidate. I don't think it's going to help.
I've been a lifelong Republican, and I switched to Democrat Party under Donald Trump.
Immigration is an area where both parties seem to find middle ground. Voters from both sides tell us they feel the borders should be secured.
I'm not blaming the Biden administration, but yes, I do think we need more measures on the border.
I think Democrats could have done more. I think it's important to control the border. But it also has to be done in a proper way. People that are coming here to this country should have an opportunity to come in legally.
Early voting has kicked off in the state, and anticipation runs high for how Arizona will turn out at the polls this cycle. Reporting in Phoenix, Arizona, Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
Former Vice President Mike Pence suggesting that he may favor somebody else over former President Trump in 2024. During a Q&A session at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., Pence was asked whether he would vote for Trump if Trump is the Republican nominee for president in 2024.
Well, there might be somebody else I'd prefer more. You know, what I can tell you is I have every confidence that the Republican Party is going to sort out leadership. All my focus has been on the midterm elections, and it'll stay that way for the next 20 days. But after that, we'll be thinking about the future, ours and the nation's, and I'll keep you posted, okay?
Pence also answered a question about the January 6th Capitol breach. He said January 6th was a tragic day and that he condemns the violence. Pence did not directly comment on questions about his own political future. He said that he and his wife will, quote, reflect at the right time, maybe in the months ahead, to determine what our calling is and to follow that calling. While Pence spoke at Georgetown University Wednesday night, some students staged a walkout. And border security and illegal immigration are some of the top issues heading into this year's midterm elections. How is the situation on the southern border right now? Joining us is Virginia Allen, senior news producer at the Daily Signal. Virginia Allen, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Virginia, there is really something to be said for actually going down to the southern border and experiencing it for yourself. You've just made a visit. What were some of the key takeaways from your trip?
You know, I think the overarching message from my time that I spent on the border, what I learned is really right now, for all intents and purposes, we don't have a southern border. I watched a scenario play out multiple times where illegal aliens cross, they wait for Border Patrol to come pick them up. Border Patrol comes, it's almost ho-hum. They come, they pick them up, they take them to a processing center, their name, their birth date, some basic information about who they are is taken down. We hope that they're telling the truth, that they're honest about their identity and who they are. And then they're given a bus ticket, a plane ticket, and they're transported to a city near you. So this is an issue that it's first touching the people that live on the border, those communities right along the border, but it's really affecting all of America. And truly, like we've said, you know, every community across the United States is becoming a border town.
And to your point, we're seeing the polling, and it's showing many voters historically voting Democrat, specifically Hispanic voters in border states, are against these open border policies and actually support GOP policies when it comes to the border. Did you get that sense with anybody that you spoke to?
You know, it was interesting. I spoke to Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez of Val Verde County. He's a Democrat, but he's been very outspoken on this issue. He says we need to secure the border and we need to do it now. This is not a bipartisan issue when you talk to folks that live on the border, that experience this day in and day out. Whether Democrat or Republican, they all say step one is securing the border. I spoke to a woman named Teresa Esther Chaparro, and she lives about a mile from the border, and she described her house as looking like Fort Knox at night, just in order to feel safe in her own home. She's put up lights outside, a fence in her backyard. She's gotten a guard dog because she says she knows that there are illegal aliens running through her backyard at all hours on an often daily basis. She's seeing illegal migrants walk down her street looking for Border Patrol. This is just the reality that these folks deal with, and they are asking the Biden administration to take action and secure the border. But what we see over and over and over from the Biden administration is really just a turning away and ignoring the real crisis of what's happening.
Now, we've seen right here in Washington, D.C., the local government has voted to allow illegal immigrants to vote in local elections. Is this ultimately the end game, or at least should this type of situation be cause for concern with the open border policy we're seeing?
You know, I think everyone has an opinion on, you know, why is the Biden administration not doing anything? Why isn't he taking action? And, you know, really, at the end of the day, in many ways, it seems like it's apathy. And the action that needs to be taken, step one, is that securing. You know, it's fascinating. When I was down at the border, you'll be driving and you'll see sections of border wall that are complete. And, you know, maybe you'll be about 3 miles of border wall that's finished. And then you get to an area where it just stops and it's open. And you realize, wow, this is so easy for drug cartels, for human smugglers, for those with a criminal record to just walk a little bit further and easily come across our border. And yet Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden, they refuse to actually acknowledge that this is a crisis.
Virginia, do you think that the issue of illegal immigration is going to play any type of significant role in the upcoming elections?
You know, I think it will, because this is an issue that is hitting truly all Americans slowly but surely. It's starting to affect people that live across the country. We've seen this in New York City, that they are being overwhelmed by the sheer number of illegal aliens that are coming into their city, and they're overwhelming schools. You know, when teachers can't teach because half of their class doesn't speak English, that creates a problem for everybody. So I do think that we will see the issue of illegal immigration play a role in the polls. Of course, we know that voters' number one issues are those of the economy, inflation. We're all feeling that no matter where you live, whether you're in a big city or a small town. But increasingly, illegal immigration is an issue that's affecting all of us, and that it is of growing concern to all Americans because we see its broad-reaching effects.
Virginia Allen, really appreciate your perspective.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Between high prices and high mortgage rates, who wants to buy a house right now? Clearly, a lot of people don't. Home sales declined for the 8th month in a row in September, the longest housing sales slump since the mortgage collapse 15 years ago. But this time around, there's not much inventory. Usually a slowing housing market means a lot of houses are available, which would push prices lower. But there are far fewer fresh listings because presumably homeowners want to hold on to the lower mortgage rate they already have. So the houses that are up for sale are going for more, and there are bidding wars because of that lack of inventory. Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.